So, we're recording now. How to move from compliance to reliance with these business advisory services. I think we're missing out, folks, because there's a lot of opportunities for you to help your clients, and unfortunately, some accounting firms aren't making the most of it. So today we want to look at what are the key advisory services firms are using, how are they pricing them, how are they packaging them, how are they bundling them, and then how are they promoting them. And hopefully we'll give you one or two ideas that you'll be able to go out to your clients with and let them know the full range of services that you do provide. So if we look at the idea of business advisory services, in that blurred image there's a lot of things that we can actually do, and the unfortunate thing is I think you probably do all of these things, but your clients don't really know everything that you do. The key question is, why do we have to add advisory services? Well, it's a really important service shift because we're seeing the Type 1 services, the compliance services, they are being squeezed from a price standpoint. They're being definitely commoditized, and business owners are looking for more from their accountant. They're looking for help with managing opportunity. They're looking for help with understanding the financial statements that you provide for your clients on a regular basis. Unfortunately, a lot of your clients wouldn't know a good tax return or a good set of financial statements if it hit them in the head. However, they will certainly know quality. They will certainly value sitting down and having a conversation about those P&Ls, about those financial statements, about the tax return. How can we improve the business? How can we make things better? And that's what we've got to focus on. We've got to be forward-looking. We've got to be forecasting. We have all this information, all this data about what's previously happened. What can we do with it? Can we provide a little bit of regression analysis and just paint a picture of what the future is going to be? The answer is yes. You do need to find the right tools to allow you to do that, but it's critically important because these are the services that your clients are looking for. They're looking for you to help them solve problems. They're looking for you to be a strategic partner and become reliant on you. So that's what we're seeing in the marketplace. Those that do not make this shift, they will be left behind, and they will compete on price, and they will be, I think, for the most part, phased out with the advent of technology. And we just see more and more the way of the world where Xero, Receipt Bank, 1040 Scan, all of these platforms are really taking over a lot of the heavy lifting and a lot of the grunt work that typical accounting firms have relied on for their bread and butter. You have all the financial information, so we've just got to take that next step and identify what we can do, what we can help our clients with. So, what are business advisory services? And all I've done here is listed out what I know our members are providing, and budgeting, tax planning, management reporting, cash flow planning, break-even analysis, trend analysis. What I'm going to suggest, folks, is that none of those should be foreign to you. What I'd suggest is you're probably doing them for a few clients already, and the clients that you are doing them for probably value them. What about strategic planning, KPI analysis, benchmarking, what-if analysis, profit improvement? These may not be so familiar. I think they should be, but they may not be so familiar. But these are some of the other services that we are seeing. In fact, what I'm finding is that you're already doing strategic planning for your clients at some level. You're already doing some what-if analysis at some level. Profit improvement, what if we just improve our gross margin by 0.5 percentage point? What would it potentially mean to the business? You are doing these on an ad hoc basis for clients when they ask for them. And so what I'm going to suggest is these are not new service. Oh, hang on, what did I just do then? Oh, we went to break-even analysis on on Wikipedia. So that was not meant to happen. But oh, okay, so it linked to the image. Sorry about that. What I'm suggesting is you're already doing these. You're already doing these on an ad hoc basis when a client asks for them. And what I'd suggest is you are most likely leaving them on the table. So what we do need to do is we need to ask a CPE question just to make sure you are all paying attention and you haven't drifted off. So let's ask a poll, and let's look at what is your most popular business advisory services. or business advisory service. And I've just thrown a few out there: budgeting, forecasting, strategic planning, benchmarking, management reporting, or other. What is your most popular business advisory service? And so we just do need folks. And if you did write other, do me a favor, and either in the question box or the chat function, just let me know what that other service is, because I would be delighted to hear what your most popular business advisory service is. And it looks as if, what have we got? We've got 78% voted. I'll leave it open for another minute or two, or second or two. So Edward's come back with business coaching. Fantastic. Let's close that. Let's share it. And what you'll see is that we've got, let's just say, budgeting, forecasting, strategic planning, the most popular one being management reporting. 7% said benchmarking and 7% said other, and Edward Culp came back with business coaching. So thanks very much, Edward. Phenomenal service. Requires a good program there. But I just wanted to chat about what we're doing here. What I would worry, though, from our management reporting standpoint, many folks just print out the P&L and balance sheet from QuickBooks, send it over to their client, and dust their hands and say they have done business advisory services. What I do want to make sure is those people that have said management reporting, I want to make sure that they're also sitting down with the client on a regular basis to read those reports, to discuss the reports. And so maybe in the question box or in the chat box there, give me some feedback as well. Are you sitting down with your clients to discuss the management report? Because when we go out to clients like yours, and get feedback from them in our surveys, we often hear that, yes, our CPA provides reports, but I've never read them. I wouldn't know how to read them. I don't know what to do with them. And basically they go on a shelf in a file, never to see the light of day again. So while I think it is great that we're providing management reports, I want to make sure that in this business advisory service, as we're doing it, I want to make sure that we are sitting down and discussing those reports, because that's where the real value is. The real value is in the conversation. The report, the tool, everything that we're going to be showing today, they just facilitate the conversation. So we can't hide behind a report and make an assumption that we're providing value, because if the client doesn't know the report, can't understand the report, then really there's not much value there. So, a lot of the services we talked about, you're already providing them. You're doing them on an ad hoc basis. You may call them something different, but you only really spring into action when your clients ask. And what I would suggest is, as a result of that, we're leaving some money on the table. Whether we're leaving money on the table because we're scrambling and we don't know how to charge for them, we haven't thought through the process, or we're leaving money on the table because we just want to do it for our client, and we do it for our client unexpectedly, and then all of a sudden 3-4 hours have passed and we don't know how to charge for it. I would also suggest that you might have seen consulting on a couple of your clients' profit and loss statements recently, and I would always suggest that you ask the question, what's this consulting? What did you get for consulting? And we had a bad experience, or recent experience, that really drove this home, where a CPA said, well, what's this consulting for $10,000 last quarter? What happened there? And as it turned out, the client invested in an internal controls program. They were worried about some of they were worried that they didn't have a rigorous set of internal controls. They received some marketing material, did some research, and hired a consultant to come in and test their internal controls. Who was the consultant? It was another CPA firm down the road. How much did the client pay for it? The client was maybe a $1.5–2 million business. They paid upwards of $10,000 for a half-day session with a consultant to review the company's internal controls. Can you imagine how irate that the current CPA was when they found out that their client had engaged another CPA firm to review internal controls. When the client asked, when the CPA asked the client, "You know we do that, don't you?" And she said, "No, actually, you've never told me that you could help me with internal controls. I've never heard anything like that from you. So when this came from another CPA firm, I jumped at the opportunity." So what that tells us is your clients aren't aware of the full range of services that you provide. Some of your clients aren't even aware that you provide tax planning services. Really quite surprising. So what we've got to do is we've got to be better at communicating to our clients what are the full range of services that we provide. And so we'll show you a couple of ways in which firms around the country are sharing exactly what they do with their clients. But what I would suggest, if we just go back a couple of slides, or hang on, strategic planning, KPI analysis, benchmarking, what-if analysis. What if we improved our AR days by 5? What impact would that have on our cash flow? What if we improved our product turn by 2 days? What impact would that have on our cash flow? What about if we improved our gross profit margin by 0.5 percentage point? What impact would that have on our profitability, our net income at the end of the year? How does this business compare to others in the industry? These are all things that your clients have told us when we go out and survey them that they want from their client, that they want from their accountant, they want from somebody. And what I will contend is if you are not providing it, someone else will. And the example of the internal controls product or consultation, that is a perfect example of another CPA firm coming in and swooping up the client and getting what I would imagine is far more profitable and far more enjoyable work than the year-end tax or the monthly write-up. So let's do a better job of communicating with our clients the full range of services that we provide. So let's keep going. What I would suggest is your role as a business advisor is to simplify the financials. You can read a profit and loss statement. You can read a tax return and to be able to understand a story. Me, a business owner, all your other, or the vast majority of your business owners that don't have that finance background, they wouldn't know. They need you to make the numbers visual. They need you to tell the story for them. They also need you to focus their attention. Where do I need to spend time to improve my business? We could start at the top of the P&L and work all our way to the bottom, but I have an attention span of a small insect these days. I need you to focus my attention on what's going on and where I'm going to get the biggest bang for my buck. Where am I going to get some early yardage? The critical term that you should always be thinking in the back of your mind is where can I get some early yardage? How can I show my client that I can win? What we then want to do, and this is what Edward's doing with his business coaching, is holding them accountable. And we do that with a lot of our member firms from a coaching standpoint. It's, Ed, you said you were going to do this. Here's what the numbers are telling me. The numbers are telling me that you haven't done it. Why not? And had an interesting conversation with one of our members the other day. I'm just going to see if he's actually on this call. I won't use names, of course, but hopefully he'll smile to himself as I share the story. A month had passed and they hadn't done anything about their website. I said, why not? And he said, well, Damien, life happens. And I honestly blew a gasket. And I said, really? Life happens and you didn't have enough time just to call 2 web providers that I recommended just to have a 10-minute conversation? Life happens? What happened? And then, as it turns out, he became a grandfather. So I think his daughter went into labor and had a child. And I then said, how long was she in labor for? I think she was in labor for 4 hours. And so I said, well, there's 4 hours that you wasted when you could have been calling those web providers. So I understand that life happens, but we've got to move the firm forward. So lo and behold, 2 days later I get an email to say, Damien, we've made a decision on the website, we're moving forward. So I was holding them accountable. You said you were going to do this, why haven't you done it? And that's an important role that you as a business advisor can have. And so whether we do that on a monthly basis, whether we do that on a quarterly basis, that's up to you. You just have to define the role. The wonderful thing is with financials, it's very difficult to run and hide. The website example I just gave is one where it was more of, have you done it, why not? Whereas when we're looking at the numbers for a quarter and we see that the AR days, or the accounts receivable days, has crept up, when we see that the gross profit margin has declined, we realize that, hang on, oh no, when the gross profit margin has slipped, we say, hang on, what's going on here? The numbers don't lie, so there's no running or hiding, and that's what's critical. So we can get some very objective information about a business and whether or not the business owner is doing what they said they were going to do. But this is your role as a business advisor. You've got to simplify their financials, make those numbers visual so they understand the story, and focus their attention. Whether or not you want to hold them accountable, that's a different service line. That's up to you, but it can be a very profitable service line, and it can be a very enjoyable service line. So that's what I think your role is. And also use this terminology in your marketing, in your communications when you're sitting with a business owner, and say, how are we different from other CPAs? Well, our role as a business advisor is to simplify the financials for you. We want to be able to tell the story and make what these numbers are saying visual so we can really focus in on what's happening in the business. Isn't that a wonderful way to explain how you work with your business clients? And that is what they are looking for, and that is what they will respond positively to. So use the notes here as tools for your communication. What do we do at ABC Accounting? With our business clients, with all our clients, we simplify the financials, where we tell a story from the numbers. So however you want to spin it, it's up to you, but don't feel as though you've got to come up with something elaborate in terms of explaining your role as a business advisor. So what we need to do so that we avoid the trap of leaving money on the table, so we avoid the trap of our clients going elsewhere for these services, and so also we can educate our clients about everything that we provide, we've got to do two things. First of all, we've got to productize what you are selling. And what I mean by productize is we've got to put a bundle, a package, a product around a name to the service that we're providing. A lot of people offer a free consultation as their call to action, but why wouldn't we offer a profit improvement consultation? Why wouldn't we offer a what-if analysis? Why wouldn't we offer a cash flow forecast? Instead of an initial consultation, for example, as a marketing tool, why wouldn't we productize it, help people understand what exactly it is, and then once we have productized it, because forecasting, budgeting, that's a product. Why does somebody need to budget? Why does somebody need to forecast? What is the benefit of understanding my key performance indicators? What is the benefit of our coaching services? What is the benefit of being held accountable? So when we do list out these services, and that's what I'll ask you to do, is I'll ask you to list out the individual services and then put one or two lines to each particular product, answering the question, why should I care? Or why should a business owner care? Why should I invest in these? Why should I pay you top dollar to understand key performance indicators? Why should I pay you top dollar to do strategic planning? Why are you an expert at strategic planning? And that's going to be a tough question for a lot of folks. And what I'd like you to do is write down, why should you come to me for strategic planning? So that could be a question that comes up from your clients, and if anyone has an answer, please pop it into the question box or the chat box. Let me know, why are you the perfect candidate to provide these services? Because we do see an explosion of business coaching services, business consulting services, business coaches. We do see an explosion of that. Why, as a CPA, are you the perfect person to take care of this? So if you have a good response to that, pop it in the question or chat function just so I can share it with the audience. But what I would suggest is you need to focus on you have access to the numbers. Not only do you have access to the numbers, but you can interpret the numbers. So there's two reasons why you're best suited to it. Another reason that you're best suited to it is because you deal with multiple businesses. You deal with multiple business types. And what you're able to do is learn from one business, apply it to another business. You're not just stuck in the back office punching out accounting for a single individual business. You see a broad range of businesses. You see a broad range of business problems, but you probably also see a broad range of solutions that can help all types of clients. So that's one of the reasons I think the CPA, the accountant, is the perfect person to provide these business advisory services. You have a unique ability to understand the numbers, and then you also have a unique ability to look at multiple businesses, multiple business problems, and really transpose solutions across businesses. Linda asked a good question there. Are accountants still known as the #1 trusted advisor? I think it depends on the survey material that you look at, Linda. The AICPA will tell you that you are, and those bodies will tell you are, and I would agree for your A clients, for the ones that you're seeing on a regular basis, probably your long-term clients. They are without a doubt, you are their #1 trusted advisor, because they're the types that the clients that call you before they do something stupid. Yes, you are definitely a trusted advisor. However, I would suggest you're not the #1 trusted advisor in a client's eyes if you're asking questions of, what's this transaction? What was this purchase? Why did you decide to buy versus lease the equipment? If you're asking your clients any of these questions, that tells me you're not the trusted advisor. And I would suggest, as I said, your A-class clients and probably just the top echelons of your A-class clients, yes, you are the #1 trusted advisor. But what I would challenge is our younger clients, our more entrepreneurial clients, our maybe newer generation of clients don't necessarily see the CPA, the accountant, as the #1 advisor. They see you as a scorekeeper. In all honesty, they can go to Google to get a lot of the answers. Whether or not they're the right answers, they know that they have a whole host of other sources they can go to, including other accounting firms. There isn't necessarily the same degree of loyalty, as we saw with one firm getting accounting and tax from one office and getting internal controls services from another office. So the loyalty isn't there because, as I said, there are multiple points of reference that they can go to. And we've got to be very careful that if we do not do a good job of educating our clients about everything that we can help with, we will become irrelevant. So what we need to be doing is we need to be constantly reminding our clients of the full range of services that we provide. So hopefully that answers the question, Linda. I don't want to paint too grim a picture, but if you're resting on your laurels and just basically assuming we're the #1 trusted advisor, I think you're going to have a rude awakening in the next couple of years, particularly as some of those A-class clients retire, sell their businesses, and then all of a sudden you're left with a fairly large gap of billings. So we got some work to do, I think. It doesn't have to be difficult work, but we've got to get working on it. Let's keep going. Let's look at some of the tools that are out there that help us position ourselves as this trusted advisor, because that's the key thing, is we want to make sure that we've got the tools available to us. Actually, before we get going on that, let's just ask another poll, because I think we've got to do one every 10-15 minutes or something, just to make sure you're paying attention. Question is, are your business advisory services promoted in a consistent manner? So just one of the three options there. We did have one person say yes, or 5% say yes. So 86% voted. I've only hit 100% a couple of times, so let's close that and let's share it with the audience. Are your business advisory services promoted in a consistent manner? Only 5% of the audience has said yes, we have an active communication plan. I don't think your communication and your marketing needs to be elaborate or expensive. It just needs to be consistent. A third of the audience comes back with sometimes, but we are inconsistent or not consistent, and that's probably about right. Actually, this is quite surprising. 63% of the audience has said no, we're more ad hoc, and really only when a client asks for it. So I think 95% of the audience is going to get a little bit of a kick up the you-know-what to do a better job of promoting their business advisory services to their current clients, to their prospective clients, and also letting their referral sources know exactly what they do. So let's hide that. Back to the slides. The heading of this slide is Tools to Market, but this is from SageWorks. This is ProfitSense, a nice product that we can subscribe to, which gives us industry data and analysis for thousands of industries. And what we're looking at here is residential building construction and the key financial ratios for the last 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, all years. What we've got to show our clients is that we know their business. We are the business advisor and we understand what's going on in their business. I say tools to market because isn't this a brilliant way to differentiate yourself? Hello, prospective business client. Tax and accounting, that's a given. We've got CPA on the business card. What I want to talk about is your gross profit margin. My data tells me the industry average is about 28, 29%. How do you compare? My industry data tells me that the net profit margin of your industry is 4.5%. How do you compare? Some clients will respond with, well, you know, my business is a little bit different. And what do I say to that? I say bull dust. I understand that you may make specialty custom homes. I understand that in residential building construction there are different scales, there are different designs, but at the end of the day, numbers are numbers. And even if you are significantly different, wouldn't it be good to at least know a starting point, at least know what the rest of the industry is looking like? And I think that's an important conversation to have and become comfortable with the idea of the mechanics of your business might be different, but the numbers aren't. The numbers of your building construction aren't that different from a hardware, aren't that different from a dental surgery. We're the experts in the numbers, and we want to look at what the numbers are saying about your business. So, residential building construction, net profit margin, 4.5%. How do you compare? And what we want to do is, if we are a subscriber to SageWorks, we want to get this industry data and analysis, or whatever tool we're using, out to whoever and everybody. Let's get it out to all our prospective clients. Let's get it out to all of our current clients at a base level of service. Let's make sure that every single client gets industry data and analysis as a part of their annual offering. If you don't, you're leaving an enormous amount of money on the table. Now, remember what I said earlier, we can provide a report for the sake of providing a report, but we're not really providing value. So what we might do is we might come up with some different strategies to communicate this language. And again, SageWorks is just one tool to facilitate a conversation. You could do the last 5 years of the industry. You could do the last 5 years of this business. Why not even just provide the client's trends for the last 5 years? What are the client's trends or the client's results for the last 5 years, gross profit margin, net profit margin, inventory days, AR days, etc., etc. So if we're not subscribing to SageWorks, why wouldn't we just go in and generate a report from a trend standpoint for our current clients? I know that one sounds like a little bit of work, but this would be a phenomenal service that we can provide to our clients. So I'm not suggesting we need to go and sign up for ProfitSense today. There are a number of ways in which we can get some additional value on the table for our clients. So we might just say all clients get the trend analysis. Maybe the A clients get a 60-minute conversation about it. Maybe the B clients get a couple of post-it notes on it just to say, this is interesting, how do you compare? Completely up to you. But what I do want to make sure that we do is everyone is aware that you have access to this data. There's no way that a client can come back and say, you don't really know my business when you're talking, or you don't really know my industry when you're talking about the net profit margin of residential building construction businesses. I mean, we've got 1,400 data points. In the whole database, we've got 28,000 data points. So there is some statistically relevant information here. We've got to sit down and have a discussion about how your business compares to these. This is the bottom side of page of that same report. We look at industry-specific metrics, billings in excess of costs to total assets. We've got 22 data points. We might have to interpret that with a grain of salt. Sales growth in the last 12 months has been 19%. How do you compare? I'm sorry, but your clients will be incredibly interested in this type of information. Your prospects will be incredibly interested in this type of information. So we've got to look at the different tools available to us, subscribe to them, so we can show our clients that we have the tools, we have the data, and we've got the ability to make sense of these numbers. So I call it a tool to market, and I know Tim Burns out of Rancho Cucamonga, he goes on every sales call with this report. And he closes 9 out of 10 deals as a result of showing clients, showing prospective clients exactly what he can do. Now that we've got it, why wouldn't we educate every single one of our clients about the full range of services that we provide? Why wouldn't we create a social media or a communication program around the key financial data for the key industries that we're following? I mean, even if we created a blog post that said, our data tells us that net profit margin for residential building construction, and we could even locate that to Southern California, is sitting at 4.9% for the last 12 months. How do you compare? Wouldn't it be interesting to find out how your construction business compared to the industry data that we have available? I can create a phenomenal marketing plan that sits around that. We can do direct mail, we can do social media, we can share this industry data where we white label it, put our logo on it, put a back page which includes an about us, maybe a menu of services on the back page, and get that out to all our referral sources, because I know that your referral sources would love to send this to their clients in residential building construction. Why? Because they fall into the trap of thinking they're adding value. They're adding value by sending an industry data report to their clients, but it's your name in lights. I've actually seen some firms, they partner with various providers out there so that they co-brand it together. So there's a number of ways in which we can do it. But this is, if we subscribe to SageWorks at just the industry data and analysis level, this is something that will differentiate ourselves, and it facilitates a discussion. Remember what I said before about facilitating a discussion? The reports, the tools just facilitate that discussion. Once we go to the next step, this is another profit sense, but we can look at various different products. Once we go in the next step, we say, well, here's what the industry says. How does your actual business compare to the industry? Let's see what the numbers tell us, and we'll get a report for you. So we'll need a couple of years' worth of the P&L and the balance sheet, and we'll go and crunch the numbers. And here's just the report that comes out of Profit Sense. I know Principia has a product called Game Plan, which produces some reports. RAN1 has a tool, I can't remember what it's called these days, that generates some reports to facilitate a conversation. So we recommend that we get this report out to all of our clients. We actually have the interns, the first and second years, they produce the report for all of the clients, they read the report, and they identify 2 or 3 talking points for the client. Post-it note, highlighter, and away we go. For our more appreciative clients, for our B clients, for our A clients, we want to sit down and have a discussion about this. And I know some firms, actually their discussion sits around, rather than looking at the report on paper, they go in and copy and paste the trends. So they go in and copy that and put it on a PowerPoint. and they go in and look at the key trends, what they're saying, what the benchmark is, what have the last couple of years been doing. Up on the PowerPoint, we sit in the meeting room and have a good discussion about that. So we can just cut and paste that graph straight into PowerPoint and we're off to the races. Last thing I want to do is generate more work for you. I've got to be honest. Then in Profit Sense Report, and I know Principa's Game Plan Report, they've got a couple of some verbiage there which tells us why we've got to be monitoring accounts payable, or in this example profit and profit margin, and then it offers a couple of tips for improvement. We're working with one firm where the goal is they want to add more physicians, and so in looking at some generic reports about physicians, we've identified a nice little social media strategy, a nice little marketing strategy where we're going to educate clients about top tips to improve profit and profit margin in your physician's practice. What we're doing is we're leveraging the content available to us to let clients know everything that we do. The number one response when we go out and survey clients to say, what do you want from your accounting firm? The number one response is proactivity. And I couldn't think of anything more proactive than you writing out to your clients, posting on the interwebs. Here's 10 top tips to improve liquidity in the construction industry. Here's 3 of the best ideas to improve profit and profit margin in white tablecloth, white linen restaurants. Here's 5 ways in which you might want to think about improving AR days. We're leveraging the content we have available to us, and we can create a phenomenal marketing plan. So rather than just going to the client and saying, hey, you've got to do some budgeting and forecasting once a year, why wouldn't we drip these tips, these ideas on our clients on a consistent basis, and all we're doing is leveraging the content that's already available to us. In fact, you could probably just Google top 10 ways to improve accounts receivable days, choose your 5, maybe massage it a little bit, and then repurpose it and say, here are the 5 best ways to improve your accounts receivable. Here are 6 ways to improve stock turn in a hardware store. Go out to your clients and ask them. Anyway, I get excited by this because I think that's what I know that's what your clients want. They want these tips on a regular and consistent basis. And so rather than you remembering to talk about the importance of key performance indicators, throughout the course of the year, you're dripping on a consistent basis the whole concept of key performance indicators and ways in which you can improve those key performance indicators. What we've also got to look at is tools that facilitate a conversation. So we had a look there at Profit Sense. This is one of my new favorites, and it's called Fathom HQ. And what we've got here is a very quick glance. So this is where we talk about focusing our clients' attention. So very quickly, we can glance down the key performance indicators, which we've worked with the client to create, and it could just be key performance indicators where we look at a 1% improvement across the board. We could sit down and do some quite involved budgeting and forecasting, whatever it is. Or we could just roll last year's forward, and in all honesty, our key performance indicator this year is just to do better than last year. And for some businesses, that's enough for them just to get their head around the idea of regular monitoring increases your ability to improves your ability to hit your targets. So very quick glance down here. We could spend 90 minutes starting at the top of the P&L and working our way down. Alternatively, red cross indicates an issue with operating profit margin, so we want to talk about that. Our AR days, I mean, look at that trend. We've let it blow out 17 days since the last time we got together to monitor. So our target's 40 days, we're at 88 days, but the median is 62 days. So, righto, rather than spending 90 minutes starting at the top of the P&L, let's just talk about AR days. Where are we going to get a win from an accounts receivable standpoint? And I know as an accounting firm, you'd have a couple of ideas to improve accounts receivable. Here's a wonderful way in which the information is also displayed, whether we're looking at graphs. This is where we're helping our clients understand the numbers from a visual standpoint. And for this particular business, Vanderlei Industries, the good news here for January 2012, 20 of their key performance indicators are on track. And very quickly we can see customer satisfaction's out, equity to assets is out, AR days is out, cash flow margins out, our staff training days are out. So we've got financial KPIs, we've got non-financial KPIs, and Fathom does a nice job at actually quantifying the non-financial KPIs. So you're able to create the non-financial KPIs and then actually create the way in which we can calculate them and then set up the way in which we can capture that information. I know a lot of accountants sitting on the call would be thinking, customer satisfaction, I'm an accountant, I know nothing about customer satisfaction. That's okay. You don't have to talk to your client about customer satisfaction, or, no, sorry, scrap that. You don't have to be the expert on customer satisfaction. But you need to bring it to their attention that we established as a key performance indicator and we're in the red. So we've got to get some customer satisfaction training. So let's go out onto the internet, let's ask our referral sources, who can we bring into this business to get them up to speed on customer customer satisfaction. And one of our members did a phenomenal job, and I think they do it every couple of years. They partner with a couple of different providers to the business community, invite their clients, invite their staff, and they actually pay for the Ritz-Carlton training team to come into the seminar and deliver a one-day workshop on customer satisfaction. Not only do they charge for it, they charge a premium for it, clients love it, but the best thing is they can send their team along to get up to speed on the importance of customer satisfaction. So I'm not suggesting we've got to be the experts in it, but we've got to bring it to their attention, and then as the advisor, we've got to find out how we're going to rectify it, who we're going to bring in to make sure that we're not in the red next time we meet. So this is what I mean by focusing their attention very quickly. Trend analysis, not rocket science there. Your job is, and we do actually have this with a lot of clients where they just sell trend analysis as a separate service. What I want to get away from is actually having to have a client make multiple buying decisions throughout the course of the year. But if it's something that you've never done before, we might just identify 3 or 4 services from the list that we identified earlier and say, you know what, we're just going to promote these to all of our clients. So between now and the end of October, we're going to promote key performance indicators or benchmarking. Between October and December, we're going to promote trend analysis. And just see what the uptake is with your clients. I don't think that you necessarily have to go down the path of, oh, we're now selling $10,000 strategic planning services, but why not just promote a trend analysis? Talk to me, and I'd be happy to spend time with you where we developed a product around trend analysis. We might have to come up with a sexier name than trend analysis, but that's what I'm for. I'm pretty good at making dull things sexy. I do it on a regular basis. And I'm talking more about myself than anything else. Sorry, sidetracked. But basically, let's choose 1 or 2 services, and let's build a campaign around them, let's build a product around them, and let's build some promotion around them. So these are just different tools that facilitate it, but I'm pretty sure that we could export out of QuickBooks, do a little bit of magic in Excel, and we could identify trends for 3 or 4 years. It doesn't have to be an elaborate 2- and 3-day service. It could be a 90-minute meeting. Let's talk about pricing the meeting and whether it's an annual performance review. And by an annual performance review, I mean entering the data from QuickBooks into ProfitSense or into whatever program you're using and having a 90-minute meeting to discuss that report. So, pricing your services, I've just decided to price it based on my estimate of hours involved. Now, what you'll see here, though, is I've gone fairly lean on the hours. First time you're doing it, we're probably going to have to sink a little bit of time because we've got to get familiar with the reports, familiar with the conversation, familiar with the process. But in the fullness of time, by the 5th time we've done an annual performance review, this is what we should be looking at. It's going to take us half an hour to generate the report. That's get the information get the information from our accounting software into the reporting software. And I've said that's a $50 an hour service because that's going to be an administrative task or a junior level task. So I've said half an hour. The CPA, the partner, the manager is going to prepare for the meeting. By prepare for the meeting, I'm suggesting you're going to read the report. That's going to take half an hour, and you're going to identify 2 or 3 talking points. So I've just gone for what the average partner rate is across the country, $250, and I've just said we're going to need half an hour for that. If you wanted, and so what we might be doing is looking at the report, reading the report, and then identifying which graphs we're going to copy and paste into PowerPoint. Meeting's going to take an hour and a half, $250. So that's a good $375 there, and follow up some emails, an action plan, and I budgeted half an hour there. So this annual performance review could be 3 hours. For some of your A-class clients, it's probably going to be a longer process. But just at the annual performance review, where we benchmark the client and say, this is how we're doing, this is what the trends are telling us, here are some areas that we need to focus on, we're looking at 3 hours. From the annual performance review, we're probably going to identify a whole host of other services, budgeting and forecasting, maybe even some regular meetings on a quarterly basis. So $650. I don't think that's going to break the bank. With good product, with good promotion, I'm very confident that we would be able to identify, or we'd be able to close a number of clients, and we might just say 10 clients. We could close 10 clients at $650. Would you be okay with the idea of $6,500 of additional revenue in the back pocket at the end of the year? Let's do a poll question just to make sure you haven't nodded off. Let me ask you, how much would you charge for a day of strategic planning? This will be interesting. Full day of strategic planning. So that's at least 8 hours. Just as we're looking at things, Linda asked a good question. My business clients are all very small business. They only care about ways to reduce their tax liability. How can I get them to see that these business analysis services are also important? Good question, Linda. One of the reasons I would say is you've probably really only communicated how you can help them from a tax liability standpoint. So we have to, first of all, we have to change the message. Then we've got to look at how can we put some money on the table. So what we might do is we might, rather than, for example, subscribing to Profit Sense for the year, we might look at smaller softwares that allow us just to run an analysis. And I know there are some out there that can just do a very quick what-if analysis, a very quick and dirty analysis, where we look at key drivers of profitability. Let's just say gross profit margin. What would the net income be if we were able to improve the gross profit margin by 0.5 percentage point? What about by 1 percentage point? What if we were able to reduce our fixed expenses by 1%? So we need some tools, Linda, that put some money on the table, that show the impact of monitoring. Because otherwise, if there's no money on the table, it's going to be very difficult for me to convince a client to invest a couple of grand with me when there's no guarantees in business. And in all honesty, that is the truth. There are no guarantees in business. So charging me $10,000 to sit down for a day of strategic planning, that's a stretch if you can't show me some value. And so we've got to look at the tools that are out there. And so the ones where we looked at Profit Sense, Principa's Game Plan, Fathom, they all allow us to put some money on the table. They allow us to do some what-if analysis so we can manipulate the drivers. So we can show, look, small changes across a couple of fields actually mean that we've got some potential in the business. I'm going to share, well, I think I am sharing it, so attendees are viewing the poll results. 50% have said $1,000 to $2,000 for a day of strategic planning. Actually, yeah, what are we looking at? More than, my math is atrocious. No, 90% have said $4,000 or less. Guys, I think you're way off the mark and you are so undervaluing your services. find the tools to facilitate the report, and I can point you to multiple members that are doing strategic planning for their clients on an annual basis, and they're charging in excess of, a good Australian band, in excess of $5,000 a day. I know some of our members are charging $15,000, $20,000 for their strategic planning services because they know the value of them and they're able to put money on the table. They've found the tools, they know the tools inside out, and they know with regular input, regular monitoring, we can move your firm forward, we can move your business forward. And I just know, for example, in our own membership group, we've got folks that come to meetings every 6 months religiously, and I can pinpoint their jump in profitability. I can pinpoint their jump in profitability because it's when they started coming to those meetings every 6 months. I can trace just us meeting every 6 months and saying, you said you were going to do this, why haven't you done it, and sharing other best practices from the member firms in that focus group. I can point to firms growing from $30,000 to 7 years later, their 3 partners, $4 million. These firms know the importance of it, but it's about putting money on the table, sharing best practices, and holding people accountable. So I'd like you to take a long, hard look at yourselves in the mirror and say, I'm undervaluing my services. I need to find the right tools, know the right tools, but believe in the value that I'm bringing to the table. Because if you're thinking $4,000 or less for a day of strategic planning, I think you are leaving a lot of money on the table. I'm not suggesting you need to go out and charge 10 grand for it, but I think you need to put some more value in what you're providing. So another way of pricing your services, and this is where we're looking at bundling services, so we're making one buying decision and goes under the guise of good, better, best, silver, or gold, what is it, bronze, silver, gold, platinum. Some people do it in terms of meals, coffee sizes, whatever it is. So what does every business client need? And I would suggest every business client, in addition to their year-end tax work, needs some sort of management report and management report discussion. Find the right tool to facilitate that report, but a management report is not a P&L. And you cannot get away with providing a P&L and thinking that or a set of financial statements and thinking that you have provided value. If there's no discussion around that financial statements, it's just a column of numbers, and your clients will really struggle with that. Next, better, what's some nice add-ons? It might just maybe be a half-day of planning, maybe some budgeting, maybe some forecasting. Best, and if I was really serious about my business, what would I need? Here's an example from they're not a member, but they're a firm out of New Zealand, and if anyone knows me, knows me that it pains me to recommend a firm out of New Zealand, but what they've got is small, medium, large. They've indicated their prices there. I don't think you necessarily need to, but what we can see is underneath there, every client is exactly the same, and if you need me to translate, I can do that. Let's go to what comes beneath that, and what we see on the left, the small business meeting. They just do one annual business growth meeting. The next level, they get together every 4 months, so 3 months a year, 3 times a year, to discuss business performance. The next bundle, 2 monthly business growth meetings, so where we look at budget versus actual every 2 months, and 2 monthly spotlight management reports. And then last but not least, we've got the clients that are paying $900 a month starting at, and they're getting the annual budget cash flow and reforecasting, the annual strategic planning, and monthly business meetings. What's key here is the business owner is making the decision. So Linda, this might be something that you can do. Let clients know the full range of services that you provide, but let them make the decision as where they want to dabble. And then we'll have to look at some nice language where we sexify, so to speak, the 4 monthly business growth meetings. What are we going to do in those? What are the tools that we're going to use to facilitate the conversation? What are the visuals that are outside of that really help the client understand what's going to take place in those monthly growth meetings? marketing your services. This is one of the cheat sheets that every business owner gets as soon as they sit down to meet with us. We send it to them via direct mail. We send it to them via email. And if they haven't responded, we put it on a clipboard and make them fill it in before any meeting. So this is where we're just asking, do you currently have the resources to grow your business without experiencing cash shortages? Yes, no, not sure, not applicable. Do you have a formalized process for customer credit approval? Yes, no, you get the drift. And the idea is in that no and not sure talking points. All we want to do is ask questions of our clients and facilitate a conversation. Do you annually budget for expected cash requirements? If any of your clients said no, not sure, or not applicable, the first key question would be, what, why, how have you said you're not sure? Let's sit down and have a discussion about this. So this is one tool that we use to promote, to facilitate the conversation. We don't have to talk about our strategic planning services here. We just ask the questions and educate the clients. This is a letter that we wrote for one of our member firms, and I think they are on the call, so he's probably going to recognize that. Dear Dr. Zach, our data shows the profit growth for physicians in the Western U.S. over the last 12 months is at 7.29%. How does your practice measure up with these regional numbers? And graphically, we represent it there, and I love what Nadine there said, your practice, question mark. Give me a call or send me an email if you'd like a copy of our industry data and ratios. I'd be happy to send you a free copy. We don't launch into we're the greatest CPAs in town. We don't launch into we've got 27 years of working with physicians in your area. Dr. Zach, profit growth last 12 months, 7.3%. How do you measure up? Wonderful sales. I'm not suggesting that all 100 people on that list are going to pick up the phone, but you can see how the dialogue changes, and you can see the type of what am I trying to say? Messaging that we're going through. Next one, another member firm, a medical practice turnaround. The Jones & Roth healthcare team was contacted by Willamette Valley Medical Practice because the business operations of the practice were a mess. Our firm conducted a thorough assessment of the practice and its staff. Our assessment found billing, collection, and cash flow issues. I'm pretty sure, and just finish reading that, I'm pretty sure you have a success story. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch the poll just to find out, do you have a success story of how you have helped a client overcome a major business issue? And let's just make sure everyone gives plenty of time. But what I'm going to suggest is you have a whole plethora of success stories in your toolbox that your clients aren't aware of. So why not share success stories? We've got 88% voted. Let's close that. Let's share it. 40% have said yes, plenty. 43% have said I'll have to think about it. Honestly, spend 10 minutes, go through the client list and identify where you've helped a client, even if it's a tax issue, where you've helped them resolve a tax issue, where you've helped them resolve a cash flow issue, might be helping them make a buy-lease decision, help them understanding break-even analysis, help them budgeting, help them sell their business. These are all success stories that we can document and share. 15% have said not in the business advisory realm. I would just suggest you've got to think a little harder, but why not at least document the ones that you can think of? And I think 5% have said no, so I think somebody's just yanking my chain because I know you have these success stories of how you've helped solve your clients' problems. And what we want to do is document them, obviously remove the key pieces of information, document them, and then share them with our clients. So get them on the website, create a blog post around it, do whatever you need to do. Folks, that's where we're going to finish today's webinar. What I would encourage you to do is look at the services that you're providing, look at how we can productize them, put labels to them, put names to them, and then get in touch with how we can create a marketing plan around promoting those. I will ensure that in terms of managing your expectations, don't think that just because we've now got a promotion and a marketing and a product that's called trend analysis, just because we've got that doesn't mean that all of a sudden every client's going to ring up asking about it. But we've got to educate our clients about the services that we provide and the benefits of those services. Not the feature of those services, but the benefits of those services. And that's where success stories come to play, so we can share the experience. So rather than a testimonial, think about, or maybe some of those testimonials, they could be the basis for our success stories. Think about those. What was the benefit of doing the internal controls program? What was the benefit of doing cash flow forecasting? What was the benefit of doing the buy versus lease analysis? And more often than not, saving your clients money. So you do have those success stories under your belt. We might just have to prod and dig deep for them. But I hope today's got a couple of recommendations for you, a couple of ideas, identified a couple of tools that will facilitate the conversation. Shoot me an email, give me a call. We've got a few more seminars left for the year. We've got webinars as well. Best practices, the feedback's been phenomenal, so see if you can get along to one of those. And I think we've got our last round of buy, sell, merge seminars this month as well. But use that code and you'll get 25% off. That's my contact information. Give me a call. Challenge me on any of the ideas, and I'm more than happy to share the experiences of our members and connect you with those members. I know that business coaching and benchmarking of our member firms helps them grow. So what I would do is challenge you to be providing those services to your clients significantly more profitable, and I'd suggest significantly more enjoyable. Folks, thank you very much for your time. I hope you've got a couple of good tips. Let us know what we can do to help. Have a wonderful day, and hopefully we'll see you online or in person at a 2020 event soon. Thanks very much, folks. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.